Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my super easy sourdough starter. So for this recipe, we're going to need some white whole wheat flour, some water, you want to use purified filtered water, and a container with a lid to store it in. To start, we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of the white whole wheat flour to our jar, along with 2 tablespoons of water. And then we are going to go ahead and mix it together really well until we get a thick pancake batter consistency. And you will see here in just a second that 2 tablespoons of water wasn't enough. Now you can always measure out like by grams and stuff, but I just wanted to do something super simple. So here I am just adding just a little bit more water till I get, like I said, a thick pancake batter consistency. So this is kind of like the consistency that you're looking for. And then I'm just going to go ahead and place my lid on it and wait till the next morning. So I started in the evening on day 1 and now we're on day 2 in the morning. So it was really only about 12 hours between the 2 feedings. And this time I'm going to switch from just the white whole wheat flour to also the unbleached all-purpose flour. So I'm using 1 tablespoon of each, the unbleached all-purpose flour, and then also 1 tablespoon of the white whole wheat flour, along with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, whatever I need to get to that thick pancake batter consistency. Now I did previously have a sourdough starter in the spring and early summer, but it unfortunately got really neglected and got really gross, so I ended up just throwing it away, and that's why I was starting a new one. And I thought I would kind of document it for you guys. So here's what it should look like. Again, thick pancake batter consistency. And always make sure that you cover the top. And now for our day 2 nighttime feeding, you can see there's a few little bubbles and a little bit of liquid pooling up on top, which is totally normal. And again, we're just resuming now with our normal feeding. 1 tablespoon each of the unbleached all-purpose and 1 tablespoon of the white whole wheat flour and a few tablespoons of water. And here we are for our day 3 morning feed, and you'll see there's like some more bubbles and more gas in there. On the side of the jar you can see some more bubbles down below. And again, just continuing with our normal feeding. As you've noticed, I haven't discarded any of the sourdough starter yet. I don't like to do that until after a few days. Personal preference. Like I said, there's so many different ways you can make a sourdough starter, and I'm just trying to make a no fuss, very simple one that works for me. And this is like the consistency, a very thick pancake batter. And I went ahead and started marking it to see if it was rising at all. So this was later that same day. And you can see it actually rose up to the line that I had drawn because the line was a little bit higher. And there's a bunch of bubbles and gas that you can see starting to form. Now for our day 3 evening feed, you can see there's a lot more bubbles. It's super gassy and active, which is exactly what we want. And it looks like it rose just a hair above the line that I drew, which is good. So we're just going to go ahead and resume with our normal feeding. And I like to make sure that I mark the side of my jar where my sourdough starter is, because I want to see what exactly is happening, if it's growing at all. And obviously you can see bubbles on the side of the glass and the top of the starter pretty much every time you look at it. But to see if it's actually growing, I like to mark the side of the jar. And here we are on day 4 for our morning feeding. And again, just continuing with our same 1 tablespoon each of the unbleached all-purpose and the white whole wheat, and a couple tablespoons of water. Here we are day 4 in the evening. Again, lots of bubbles on top, and there's a lot of bubbles on the side of the jar, which is really nice. That shows me that there's some stuff happening on the inside there. And every time that you're mixing this, you really want to mix it very, very well and get lots of air incorporated to your flour and water. I feel like that also helps a lot. And again, make sure that you mark the side of the jar. So here we are on day 5 in the morning, and again, just resuming our normal feeding. Could not tell which lid the flour jar came off of. So flour and water and mix until it's all completely incorporated, and then again going to mark the side of the jar. And this is the consistency you want. Like, it's just a thick pancake batter consistency. I just try to make sure that I keep getting with it. So on this day, on day 5, I finally am starting in a new jar. This is how I do my discard. I discard what's in the old jar and I pour what I need into the new jar. So I kind of poured in the new jar up to 100 mLs on the side of the jar. It has like little notches where it shows you like by volume how much liquid there is. So I went ahead and poured to the 100 ml line and then added again 2 tablespoons of flour and a tablespoon of water, or a couple of tablespoons of water. And the reason I like to change jars, and I will be changing jars from now on, is because I want to make sure that no mold forms. So every time you're using a clean jar, if you change the jar quite frequently, you shouldn't get any mold or gross stuff growing in there. Especially like on the side bits, as you can see, there's like batter up the sides. And like that stuff is kind of prone to getting kind of nasty. All right, so here we are for our day 6 feeding, and as you can see, our sourdough starter did rise a little bit, which is exactly what we want. And then we're going to continue on with our feeding by switching into a new clean jar, like I said, up to the 100 ml line, and then adding 2 tablespoons of flour. And I'm just continuing with my same 1 and 1, and you can really use any flour that you want. Just make sure that it is a good high quality flour. And again, mix. And then we're going to mark it and put a lid on it. So what I am looking for in my sourdough starter is for it to be consistently doubling in size, which day 7 in the morning it actually did. You can see it rose overnight and then fell down, and then there's a bunch of little bubbles on top and in the side of the jar. And so what I'm looking for is just, I need it to be consistently doubling in size, and that tells me when I'm ready to start using it. And here is day 8, and you can see it's doubled in size and lots of bubbles. And then again for day 9. And that is it for this super simple sourdough starter. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video.